Hi, this is Henry Martin from 5th grade at the Goldemeyer School, and this is my presentation of my 2021 STEM Fair project called Move It or Lose It. First, I'm going to talk about my glossary here, which has definitions for terms that I will use throughout the presentation. A virtual machine is a virtual computer being simulated running inside another computer. A UI stands for user interface, which is pretty much the buttons or other interactable objects that you would see on your screen. An API is an application programming interface, a system you can call to get data or cause some sort of function to go off in the real world. Android Studio is the software you would use to make an Android app, and a webhook is an API you can access via the internet. Some of the issues that I'm trying to solve here are the fact that due to the pandemic, people are stuck online for most of their classes and their work, and they're not moving as much. Lack of movement like that can actually cause mental issues and physical issues. You can use apps to remind you to move, but many apps like that are paid, and many of those apps also only notify you in one method, making it easy to not notice it. Also, a lot of the notifications from those apps are dismissible, where you can just click one button and the notification goes away without you actually having to exercise. The concept of Move It or Lose It is it's a website that will automatically remind you to move throughout the day via multiple different methods of notification. Our plan to solve the issues for the first attempt here was first to make a new Android Studio project and write code to send a notification to the user of the app every certain number of minutes. And then I would sideload the app onto a physical device and then test it. So what actually happened in iteration 1 was I created an Android app in Android Studio, but it wasn't able to build, meaning I could not test it. So I created a virtual machine, and the builds worked perfectly on the virtual machine. I tried to send a notification, and due to some environmental and version-related issues with my Android device that I was trying to debug it on, I failed miserably. Since we were running out of time, I had to think of another way. So, the plan for the second attempt was to create an IFTTT applet, make the IFTTT applet notify a user when it was called, and then create a program to call the IFTTT applet every X minutes. IFTTT is an abbreviation for if this then that, which is a platform that you can use to have triggers connect to other functions. So then I would wrap the program with an API and then wrap the API with a website. So for iteration 2, everything went pretty much flawlessly. I created an IFTTT applet to send a notification to Alexa and an SMS to a mobile device, and I also configured an IFTTT webhook to trigger the applet I created earlier. So, for iteration 3, I created a web service to call my IFTTT webhook. So I created a simple web service hosted on REPL.it using Python and Flask, and I programmed an API endpoint for my web service. Then I made a loop function in the web service that would automatically call my webhook on IFTTT every X minutes. For iteration 4, I was creating a user interface. First, I created a web page front end for my API and I added a dashboard. Then I hooked the dashboard to the API using some simple JavaScript. The final product can be found at moveitoрлoseit.henrymartin4.repl.co. Though, if you're testing it, it will not notify you, it will notify me. It's currently configured for my Alexa and SMS hookup. For future iterations, I have some ideas. I want to add individual user profiles where you could sign up and log in to your profile and have all your settings predefined there, like a default delay and if you want your notifications to happen every day. Adding movement suggestions, suggesting what to do during one of your movement breaks. Adding themes for kids. For example, if a boy liked zombies and he wanted to have a zombie app, he could do that, and every time he needed to take a movement break, he would have to run from the zombies because they were trying to eat his brains. Just an example. Adding multiple profiles under one parent and guardian. I would want to do that because then a parent or guardian could control the settings on a child's profile. And on that same note, with the themes, adding a mode for kids so that then they could have a simplified user interface and a little bit of an easier time navigating the app. Here is our flowchart of the solution. First, we have an API call. Then it goes to our API. If the call is for testing purposes, then it'll have two parameters required automatically filled in, which is the name of the user and what's chasing the user right now. So if I add the name Henry and the object chasing Henry would be a zombie, the notification that would result would be, "Hey, Henry, the zombies are coming to get you. You need to move." For this one, it's automatically filled in with test and test. Then it finishes. If the call is not for testing purposes, then it sends an API request to the SMS and the API request to notify Alexa. If the loop is done, then go to the end. Otherwise, go around, go back to a delay, wait for the delay, then send the API request again, and head back. If loop done. If it's not done, it repeats. Otherwise, it finishes. For the architecture of the solution, on REPL.it we have our front-end web page, which is connected to our web service. The front-end web page is also connected directly to the internet. The web endpoint for IFTTT is called by our web service, which is also connected to the internet, and the web service is then connected to the web endpoint for IFTTT. Then, this web service calls the web endpoint for the SMS service and the web endpoint for the Alexa service, which are both connected to the internet. For research, we have some article links here. For the first one, that one shows how important movement is. The second one shows that exercise helps physically and mentally. The third one shows that you should exercise 10 minutes every hour for 8 hours. And then the fourth one shows that you should exercise at least 15 minutes per hour. I could find much more, but I was also working on the code while I was trying to find this. Thank you for listening. Please also see my demo video.